Hi there. Today I've got a great case study for you with Brooke Allen. He's a practitioner of massage who's got a lot of experience in kind of Eastern meditation and Qigong, brings that through his practice and has done a bunch of training around that over the last few years. And in more recent times, he's actually used some of that knowledge and experience to create an online course. And what I'm really excited about is that Alan has had absolutely amazing results from the work that he's doing in what is essentially kind of a part-time side hustle for his business. He's created the online program, and then over and above that, he's done the marketing and sales to make it worth it. And some of the numbers he's talking about are astounding. He's getting very good leads coming through Facebook, making 1 or 2 sales a month most months, and that equals, thousands of dollars coming through his business each month that otherwise he wouldn't have access to. And at the same time, he's actually helping other people, other practitioners, to understand and practice the stuff that he's really passionate about. So it's spreading around the country and the world because he's been able to create this online program. I want you to listen in for the challenges that he's had, for the process that he's gone through, and see if this is something that you might be able to add to your tool belt as well at some point. It's great to have you here with us today, Brooke. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I know you've traveled a journey that quite a lot of other people are really interested in doing similar things. And you've gone and worked yourself into a place where you can do training and teaching with other health professionals. A lot of that delivered online, which is really great. But actually, before we get into that, I just want to hear a little bit more about you, Brooke. Tell us a bit about where you were before you took this step. What's your business been like? Who are your clients? Tell us about yourself.
Sure. So, look, lovely to be here. So, I'm an integrated massage and Eastern therapist based in Hobart, Tasmania. I have been running a full-time clinic now for it's over 10 years now. So, I used to have multiple practitioners. So, it was myself and a few other people. And then I made the decision to go solo. I sort of had a look down that avenue and decided, no, maybe not for me. I wanted to just focus on my work with clients and be basically in control of everything. I just found I was being spread in too many different directions and managing, which was taking me out of where I wanted to be, which was with people and in that treatment space. So that's sort of one side of what I do. My background's in traditional Kung Fu, Tai Chi and Qigong, and I've been running Qigong and meditation classes, workshops, bodywork sort of community sessions for a long time down in Hobart, Tasmania. And so that's sort of, I guess, the mix of things that I have in play. And it's a nice mix because day to day I'll be in the clinic, but then I'll be, pumping out treatments and seeing people, but also too, I'll be out, running a Qigong and meditation workshop for, like an organisation that's like Carers Tasmania, for example, where it might be a specific focus. So it's a nice mix. It keeps me fresh.
Yeah, that's great.
In that sense. So, yeah, I guess I'm sort of the guy in Tasmania or in Hobart who, after they've seen everybody else, I'm like the last, train stop on the line, and people throw their hands in there and go, well, I've tried everything else. Now I'm going to look for a different approach. So that's sort of me in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's great. And you do have a bunch of experience and you're quite well known for what it is that you're doing down there, which is awesome. And I know that's, it's been a long time in the making. You've put the time in, learning the craft, doing the work, gathering that community around and building that reputation. What I'd love to hear is a little bit about, it's only been in the last couple of years that you've really stepped into maybe a bigger focus on training for other practitioners and developed an online course as part of that side of your business. Tell us a bit about that transition. What made you feel like you were ready, or did you feel like you were ready? And how did you go through that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd actually said to you in the past that I was probably about 3 years too late. It was something that I was ready to make the jump into for some time. And look, we had COVID, that sort of threw a spanner in the works. And then in Tasmania, unlike I think some of the other states, we had a shortish, I think it was an 8-week lockdown. And then basically 2 years, it was full steam ahead. Like, we were in a bubble, we were open for business. It was great. So that's when in that first lockdown, I thought, shivers, as soon as I come out of this, I need to get this program online training up and running as sort of a safety net for me as well, so that I could have another income stream, another string to my bow that wasn't just solely dependent on me being in front of people in person in that treatment sense. So yeah, as soon as we got out of that, I connected with you guys again, and it was like, right, let's go. So yeah, that was the plan. Put together essentially a package or a structure, a program that was sharing the experience that I'd gained, in clinic, training in China, Southeast Asia, different masters that I'd come across. And it's sort of like a greatest hits of all the great stuff that I think is really beneficial, and then sharing that with practitioners right around the country, which is what I'm doing now, which is fantastic. So that's basically what happened.
I love it. And it's a great thing to be able to take that experience and turn it into something that you can use to help other practitioners to do a bit of training and mentoring with others. We do go through a process in the program you're part of. We go through a process of sort of identifying what that knowledge is and how to organize it and get that out of your head into something people can learn
absolutely.
from. Tell us a bit about that process. Like, what is it that you maybe found the most challenging or that you liked the most about creating something like that for yourself?
So I think, and a lot of people would say this, the front end of that program, I found like my brain was just going to explode. It was like a really chaotic, creative experience, and distilling everything down to a point where it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. I found the templates and I guess the structural stuff that you guys provided absolutely fantastic. And that helped the process as well, because it sort of compartmentalized everything into a learning format that was very comprehensive, but it was sort of plug and play in that sense too. So that gave me confidence to go forward and know that, the topic that I was sort of presenting was a little left of centre, let's face it. So traditional Eastern approach, some of that stuff can sometimes appear a little bit woo-woo. And so I was very conscious of being able to present this in a very grounded and pragmatic way that was accessible to maybe somebody who had a really solid background in that, right through to somebody who had none. And so that for me was probably the most powerful thing. And of course, now that I've learned how to do that, I know how to do it again. I know how to replicate it. And that has also flowed through into other areas of the business of what I offer to people as well. It sort of gets to be a little bit subconscious in a way, a little unnatural at first, a little bit of, what do they say? Perspiration is confusion is the perspiration of learning, or something like that. That's definitely how I felt, but it was a fantastic experience.
Yeah, that's great. And so good to hear that you found that it made it easier to sort of put those building blocks together.
Yeah.
And you have created something that's really quite special using the unique experience and knowledge that you've got. You've created something that is quite unique to be able to teach to other people, which is amazing. I also know that a lot of work goes into the creation of the course or the program. This is for everyone.
Yep.
What sometimes gets missed is that that's not really the only thing that needs to happen to make it work. It is a big chunk of work at the start, but sometimes people do that work and then they sit there and go, oh, thank goodness that's done. Now I can just sit back and take it easy. Yeah. And I know your experience, like everyone, is that's like the first step. Getting the actual course done is the first step. And then making it work as a business does involve marketing and sales and actually caring for those clients or participants that come through the programs. And I do know you had some very good responses to marketing, especially early on. Do you want to share some of that experience as well?
Yeah, sure. So exactly what you're saying. Yes, intensive in the build and prep stage, but then also too, then you move out of one gear and you move into another gear, sales and marketing, and that's intense too. But it's a different intense, and I think there's an acclimatization that takes place. I know now I've been, created the course. That was some time ago now. I've been selling and marketing the course now, I think, since September last year. I would say that, and then had a break sort of over Christmas and then kicked off again in Feb. And then this year has been full steam ahead, flat out. And so really that's really been the benchmark of how things are going. And so I think it's really a case of, I know some people have ideas around sales, calling people, getting on the phone. It can be scary and daunting, but the only way to get in there and make things happen, it's like getting in the water and swimming. You've got to swim, and it's about the journey. It's not the final destination. I know that the sales techniques, some of the scripting around how you frame calls and how you lead people through a sales process, absolutely invaluable. And now that I've been doing it for quite a while, a lot of that stuff is just second nature now. And of course, you're learning constantly along the way with different challenges and curveballs that will come at you, different questions, and that takes time. And I think if you're expecting, look, we'd all love to make a program and get out there and just start, getting people on board and, people flying through the door. And I think that's not actually reality. I think you've got to be able to sit in there for the long haul and let things build. People see you in that space on a consistent basis, build trust. And I know now I'm getting that flow-on effect where initially, people will be like, Brooke Allen, Praxis Space, like, what the hell's that? But now people have seen me out there for a while. I'm getting a lot more of that just random people touching base and going, oh, look, this just keeps coming up. I've seen this ad popping up for ages and I think it's cosmic. I've got to make contact with you. That's happened lots. But again, takes time. You've got to, I think, just jump in. As I said, getting on calls and just talking to people randomly can be daunting at first, but the only way you get better, the more people you talk to, the more time you spend in that space, the smoother it becomes, the better you get at it. And I think that's been my journey. And then it can just grow and expand from there. Also too, I mean, that what I've just said doesn't even begin to cover the other side of it, which is the knowledge of how to set up your ads on Facebook, how to utilize the software and the technology that goes with that as well. I mean, that's an art form too. As you know, I've been in contact with you going, James, I'm having a meltdown, what's going on here? And that support from you guys has just been invaluable. And so, I mean, we could probably talk for 2 or 3 hours about, software and ad campaigns and that whole side of it. But I think the tools that I got initially to get rolling, that's enough. Yeah. That's enough to get rolling, keep it simple, because a lot of that information can be quite tricky to get your head around if you haven't been in that space before. But then you start simple, and then you expand, and then you're like, I've done that. I've got that down now. I know how that works. Now I can potentially look at some other stuff if maybe you need to change things up. So, yeah, that's what I feel in relation to that sort of journey, that transition process.
Yeah, I love that. And it's a really good share, Brooke, because I think that's true. As I said, lots of people kind of think of making the course as the biggest step. And maybe it is right at the start. But once you've got that there, it's not that it's super difficult, but it just takes time and you've got to learn how to do it. Like anything else, the first time you try and place Facebook ads, if you've never done it before, you just have to work through it and learn it. And what I actually remember from working with you, Brooke, is when you first started doing those Facebook ads, we got one out and you got something like 100 and something leads that were quite cheap. It was under $5 per lead for it. And I'm looking at it thinking, man, I wish I could get a reaction like that to my ads. Like you did really well from it. And not that that happens for everyone either, but I do think getting out there to the market, getting out there with marketing and then speaking with people on the phone, It's the only way to run the business. But at the start, it's also the only way to learn. You learn way faster when you're speaking with real people, because you actually get to connect with them. And if they don't want your stuff, they tell you why. And if they do want your stuff, then you know you're onto something really good. And that sort of feedback at the start is really, really important. So I'm really excited by what you've done and gone through that process. Are you comfortable sharing some of those numbers? Like, I've sort of just very briefly said, I remember that one campaign, but do you know off the top of your head how many leads you would have got through that are potential sales? And I don't know how hard it was to actually convert those people into sales. Do you know any of those numbers?
Yeah, look, I think, and as I said previously, I had 2 sales last year when I launched in September. And to be honest, I mean, that was maybe a 1 month, 2 month campaign. And it probably wasn't on point yet at all. It was still pretty rough in terms of, all right, how am I framing this? Am I talking the right language to connect with people? And I still got 2. So
that's pretty good, really. It's like, it was a bit rough and I made 2 sales. Like,
yeah, that's right. So I mean, I was happy with that. I was probably a bit mentally fatigued by the time I sort of got to November. So I decided to just, okay, we got 2. Let's cool our jets, regroup for this year, and then bang into it for Feb. I'm up to 5 this year since Feb.
5 sales? Oh, fantastic. Well done.
And I just literally got 2 this week.
Oh, that's brilliant. And what's a sale worth approximately?
$3,000.
Yeah, great. So you're talking 5 sales is $15,000.
Yep.
Yeah, beautiful.
And that's, obviously not everybody's paying up front. There's payment plans and things like that, but that's how things are put together and structured. So that's coming off. That's one campaign that is working, and I haven't changed it since Feb. It's been running continuously. So I think I think I touched base with you a couple of weeks ago and I said, James, I'm freaking out a bit here. Leads are still coming in, do I need to reset this or should I just let it roll? And I think your advice was like, look, if it ain't broke, just let it roll. So I am. And so that's still running up until right now. And so I think we spoke about cost per lead, basically if you're hitting up sort of $19 a lead, and it's like, right, back to the drawing board, regroup. So over those few months, I'm sitting at about, I'm fluctuating from $5 to maybe $10 tops per lead.
Yeah, which is
so
brilliant.
I'm just leaving it at that. I think I trimmed down some ad sets where some of the graphics weren't working as well as others, and that's it. That's all I've done. It's working. There's no question it's working now.
That's brilliant. And for people who might be listening or watching this who aren't familiar with that, that's a really good result, right? It's like often, we kind of aim for that $5 or $10 per lead, but the idea is that not everyone there buys the program. You've got to get the people coming through, but everyone that is a lead becomes part of your database. So even if they don't, you call them and they buy, that's awesome. But even if they don't, you've got them on your database and you're able to connect with them, send them emails, talk to them on Facebook, that kind of stuff again. So you're always kind of, every lead you gather is building the business for the future, kind of like gathering clients in your clinic. They might be a one-off now, but you never know when they're going to come back in again. So it's awesome to see that building happening. And I think those numbers are absolutely amazing. One campaign running for a few months, getting a bunch of leads in at a good price and making 5 sales from it. That's a really good result for something that's essentially your side business, right? You're still doing your main job.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically at the start, when everything, this year kicked off full power, it was a little bit stressful. There was a bit of acclimatization where I was like, right, okay, now how do I fit, okay, I've got some follow-up calls here. I need to chase up some people, right? I've got treatments. How do I manage this? So a little bit of time just to adjust, but you've got to, as I say, you've got to get in there in the game, learn to swim, and then you find your rhythm. And so now I'm at a point where I'm much more relaxed about everything, the process. managing treatments versus this side of things, the online program. I think just on this campaign alone, I'm up to, look, it'll be pushing over 300 contacts just on this latest campaign.
Yeah, that's
so
beautiful.
And as you said, my approach is I'm coming at these calls and these leads from a integrity heart space. A lot of the people, as you say, I may not be working with them right now, but a lot of contacts and connections have been made with a lot of people who, look, timing's not good right now, but I really want to do this. We're going to line up down the track. And so, as I said, if you're not out in that space, you're not creating that momentum and that groundswell. So for me, it's always been about playing that long game. If you're going to just hit it for a month and then go, oh, well, that didn't work, I don't think that's realistic. You've got to be in there and playing. And so I think cost-wise, ad-wise, I'm only spending, I think it's, I would be spending it's probably about 600 a month. And so, if I get my goal is, look, one sale a month, if I can get that. Now, sometimes that doesn't happen, but I don't freak out, because then, like this month, I got 2. So, that happens too. And you also, the one thing I think that is the most important, often when you're jumping on a call, there can be that tendency for the mind to go, oh, I don't know, negative. Sometimes you can get in that trap of being a little bit negative. You just can't play that game, because you just do not know who is ripe, who is absolutely hanging out for something like this. And you just can't make that judgment, So if you just come into every call, every personal interaction from that heart space, passionate, I think you just can't fail.
That's
and you've just got to keep playing. It's like, I was joking to somebody, my wife, I said the other day, I'm just turning the slot machine. It's like, you never know who you're going to be talking to and what they need and how and when and why. So if you're just consistently delivering at that high level, one way or another, you've got that foundation, you've got that professional structure, it'll happen.
Yeah, I love that. And I can hear your heart in that too. And I think a lot of practitioners in massage and health already have that high, what's the word, connection with their clients. Like, they want to help, that's why we're in this industry.
Absolutely.
And so I just hear you're bringing that into the training space as well, which is absolutely amazing.
And if I can't help you, I'll try and point you in the right direction. Simple.
Exactly the same as people do in clinic,
Totally.
It's here's my things,
Same
but
thing.
if it's going to need something else, then I've got people to refer you to, and that's great.
Yeah.
What do you see as your next step, Brooke? Like, we're talking about some amazing stuff here, but what's up next for you?
I always said that this year was going to be a full 12 months to give this a really, committed. And I think that'll be the case next year as well for this program. Remember, you guys gave me some sage advice, which was, before you go thinking about creating another program or doing something else, you've got to it helps get one program working really well. So that is still my goal. That's my focus. I'm not really going to create anything else just yet. Keep it simple, refine this even more, get it working really, really well. I think the only other sideline that will come out of this now, and particularly now that COVID's settled down, and I'm looking at this already, I'm going to start to doing some face-to-face interstate workshops. So potentially WA, South Australia, Sydney, Melbourne. We'll see what happens, but that's the next step, because there's a lot of people who are currently doing my online program who, we've chatted, and I said, look, some face-to-face would be great. And I said, watch this space, it'll happen. I'm just not sure when. So I think that's going to be the next step.
Yeah, that sounds great. And as a business model, that can work really well, because some people will come to an in-person course that might not be comfortable yet doing something online. But often when they come to something in person, then they go, oh, yeah, this is it. I've got the main stuff.
That's
and
right.
I'd love to do the online component now because that's got all the video recordings and it might go a bit deeper and it's a bit more intensive over a longer time. So it can actually work quite well as a step up into the online stuff to run the in-person
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, two-way street. Like it can go,
Yeah.
it can cut both ways.
Yeah. I love that. What a great plan. I'm super impressed with what you're doing, Brooke, and I wanted to get you on here because, yeah, we've stayed in touch as some of those challenges have come through. I know the road has had challenges along the way, but what I love is that you've just stepped up and done the work every time and overcome them, and you're getting great results because of that. And I just see that, yeah, whatever you step into over the next 6, 12 months, I'm sure you'll keep seeing even more success. So well done. And yeah, thanks for sharing today.
No, look, and thank you to you guys, because it's that professional framework and structure that I think that's your confidence. And so, as I was saying, with, getting people into online programs, sales, daunting, you've got that support there and that formula, so to speak, so that even if you're nervous, even if you're uncomfortable, you can just get in there and you've still got sort of a bit of a safety net there, so you don't think, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about, or how do I set this up? So I think that's probably the most valuable piece of intellectual property, shall we say, that I think you guys provide. It's that really solid foundation and structural support, depending on, there's a lot of directions you can take, but it's open to move in any direction, really. It's multifunctional.
Beautiful. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it. And
Pleasure.
yeah, all the best. We'll see you later.
Yes, you too. Talk soon.